We like strong borders, we like good education, we like low interest rates, we like being able to buy a beautiful car. Interest rates came down despite the fact that I have a Fed person who's not really doing a good job, but I won't say that. They said he pledged to bring prices down. Well, that's what I've done. Since I took office, the cost of eggs is down 87%.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise. We got to check out this video here. Kaitlan Collins is a glutton for punishment. She sits down with Senator Mullin, and I'm not gonna lie to you, man, he absolutely hands it to her. You guys are going to enjoy this. Like, share, subscribe. Let's get into it.
Lead source tonight is the Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma, and it's great to have you here. Obviously, you're a huge ally of the president's. And now that he's 100 days in, and the economy seems to be a major focus for a lot of voters as they're looking at this. In that interview tonight, he talked about the 145% tariffs in place on China. He said he thinks China will actually end up eating most of that. Is that how you see it, though?
Well, I do. I think China has to have us. If you start looking at the economy is strong. Kaitlan, I know the voters are looking at it. You got to remember, underneath President Biden's 4 years in office, he averaged inflation at 4.95%, nearly 5%, at a high of 9.1%. Today, inflation is down to 2.4%. You start talking about optimism inside the economy. We have 229,000 jobs created. 459,000 jobs went from part-time to full-time. We have private investment of $2 trillion that have been pledged to invest in the United States in the first 100 days of the presidency. We have foreign investments of $3 trillion. That's $5 trillion invested in our economy just in the first 100 days. People like to see what is going on right now. You have gas prices down 22%. And when you start talking to American people, they are excited about where our country is headed.
But if the numbers are as good as the president says they are, I mean, he's wildly exaggerating how much eggs are down. They're not down 87%. If they were, people would be paying 50 cents for a dozen of eggs, which obviously, you know that they're not.
The fact is they're down. And as I said, at the height...
Right, but why not just say exactly how much they're down?
Well, at the height, it was 9.1%. So it depends on what metric you're using. At 9.1%, they're down to 2.4% now. Inflation, that is a significant drop. That's not 50%. You're getting down to actual real numbers at that point. So it depends on which point you're talking about. We can discuss wherever we want to on the eggs of what source you want to say or at what time frame he may be referring to. The fact is, prices are down, and we see them.
But they're not down as much as he's saying that they're down for eggs. So I'm saying if my
so let's use the math. What's 9.1% down to 2.4%? What's the percentage?
If the numbers are as good as you think they are, and as you're arguing, and that's number from the Agriculture Department. Why not just say they're down 52% or 53% instead of 87%?
It's interesting to me that we're focused on the price of eggs when we know it's down. What I don't remember hearing is when Biden was in office and inflation was not 9.1%, about you talking about how high the prices were, or anybody, for that matter, actually saying, okay, why is inflation at 9.1%? Why are we averaging 4.95, nearly 5% of inflation? Why is it in the first 100 days? That should be the conversation. Why is it in the first 100 days that the president was able to bring down inflation to 2.4% and have $5 trillion of investment inside the United States? Why wasn't that happening in the last 4 years of the Biden administration?
That's a great question. And it's a question that you will not get a real answer to. What we know about legacy media, CNN, MSNBC, all of your legacy, newspaper outlets, which are now basically just online websites. I guess some people still get the paper, but not as many as people did back in the day. The coverage is almost 100% negative. And we're going to talk about that a little later, but it's almost 100% negative when you start talking about the coverage. The Trump administration over these past 100 days, there's been a lot of successes, and we're going to talk about that. But these people, they will not tell the viewership of CNN that the president's actually doing a good job. Everything that he said that he would do, he is either doing it, it is either done, or he's currently working on getting it done. But these people will not give him the credit at all.
Asked anyone in the Biden White House, they got asked about inflation all day long. It was essentially one of the only questions reporters asked them. So I don't think that that's a fair criticism. But on the numbers, when you're looking at that, this isn't some criticism from the media. It's the polling that voters are not happy with where the economy's going. They don't feel good about the president's policies, and they think they're making the economy worse. Why do you think that is?
Well, I would go, what demographic are they polling? Who are they talking to? Because when I'm talking to people in Oklahoma, or I'm talking to people in Texas, or I'm talking to people in Alabama, or wherever I'm traveling to, which granted I'm traveling to red states, they're very optimistic about where we're headed to. They're excited about what's happening inside the country. And I think investors are that way too. As I go back to it, in the first 100 days, we've had $5 trillion pledged to invest inside the United States. Why weren't they doing that underneath the Biden administration?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the CNN polling. It was, I think, the sample that they surveyed was more Republicans than it was Democrats, and then a lot of independents in there as well. I mean, it was a pretty broad swath. And it's also not just the CNN poll. It's the ABC Washington Post poll. There's a Fox News poll that's out where his numbers are down. And so I guess the question is, when you look at that, is there any sense when you look at those numbers that the White House needs to change course?
Caitlin, numbers don't lie. Polling, you can skew however you want to. When I restate these numbers again, inflation is down to 2.4%. We're an average of 4.95%, 5% underneath the Biden administration.
Yeah, inflation is down.
9.1%. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but when you have $5 trillion pledged of investment in the first 100 days, I believe the investors, I believe the job creators, those that create the jobs, that hire the individuals, I think it speaks for themselves. When you have 459,000 jobs that were part-time just 100 days ago, today they're full-time, I believe the economy is moving in the right direction. And so we should be talking about what has happened in the first 100 days. Why is it that the President Trump was able to do this and Biden couldn't?
The S&P 500 posted its biggest loss in the first 100 days of a presidency since Nixon in 1973. I mean, those are hard numbers.
Well, think about this. Well, but think about the stock market. The stock market deals on today's news, not on the future. What the president is trying to do with the tariffs is he's trying to build a workforce for the future. We know without question that countries were taking advantage of the United States' generosity for years. That countries all across Europe, all across Asia have became wealthy on taking products that were once built inside the United States, build it in their country, and then selling it back to us and taking the dollars out. When the president said enough's enough, we're tired of countries taking advantage of us, we're going to right this ship and we're going to build a workforce for the future. The stock market didn't react the way that, actually reacted the way we expected it to, really, because they deal on today's futures, not tomorrow's futures. And that's understandable. But the market that the president is building is going to be better for the future generation.
Absolutely. Senator Mullin is absolutely right. This isn't about today. And what we know about the stock market will fluctuate off of today's news. They're not really concerned about the future. They're only concerned about today's profits. But the people, we're looking at this like, hey, this right here is going to work out in our favor. At least we're hoping that this is going to work out in our favor. And it's looking like it's going to work out in our favor, not only for us, but for our children and for our grandchildren and for our great-grandchildren. What Trump is doing right now when it comes to renegotiating these tariffs and how we generate revenue in this nation, it's something that should have been done 20, 30 years ago. It's something that a lot of presidents talked about doing, but were afraid to do. And unfortunately, you have disingenuous people like Kaitlan Collins and others on legacy media who they know that if we get good deals, this is going to be great for everybody, but they are not allowed to tell you or me or anybody else that watches their network because the idea is coming from the Republican Party, mainly Donald Trump.
The president is making the argument tonight that he ran on tariffs. This is what he's now putting in place. Maybe Wall Street didn't believe him. But on this today, amid this report that Amazon was going to start showing how prices were impacted by his tariffs, you would see what you would pay without the tariffs and you'd see what you pay with them. Amazon quickly denied that they're actually going to do that. But the White House lashed out and called it a hostile and political act. Why would a company being transparent about why prices are going up be hostile?
I actually had a meeting with the CEO of distribution and small stores and retails for Amazon before we came on air tonight. And he said that was based on a story that was based on a very small aspect of Amazon. But Amazon was never doing that. And so we got into pricing, started talking about pricing, right? You started talking about how that would work. He says, we haven't increased pricing. We haven't increased pricing. We don't expect to increase pricing. We haven't seen the tariffs increase. Most retailers, major retailers, had surged up before the tariffs came in because we knew what the president had said. And so we saw a larger surge in surplus in warehouse goods than we did even over Christmas. And so the consumer is not seeing this tariff that everybody is talking
soon,
about.
don't you think?
Well, according to him, it'll be weeks, possibly months before you see it happening.
But that's not that long from now, just a few weeks from now. I mean,
well, think about how fast the president has moved in 100 days. And when you say just a few weeks, I didn't say a few weeks. I said weeks, possibly months. When you start talking about what the president has accomplished in the first 100 days, can you imagine what he can do in the next 100 days? We're talking about 90 days if you want to start about months. We're talking about 90 days from now, 3 months from now. What else can happen? I have enjoyed the direction the president is taking.
On the premise of, I mean, okay, so in 6 weeks we could see prices go up.
I don't think it'll be 6 weeks. It'll be past that.
So when should voters, do you think, be prepared for?
I don't think you got to be prepared for it. I think you're going to see a deal made. Countries need to do business with our economy. They want to do business with our economy. Think about what's the products made in China. Who needs economies worse? China, 40% of all their manufacturing goods that they make today are sold inside the United States.
But you yourself acknowledged the last time you were here, a tariff is a tax that is passed on to consumers. You've said that pretty bluntly. The question, I think, that was raised today is, why is it the responsibility of a CEO or someone who owns a company to shield the White House from the cost of their policies by not raising prices?
What do you mean shield? That's what a business owner does. We prepare for the markets ahead.
But all businesses are not going to eat these prices. You don't think that, right?
I never said they were going to eat the prices. I think some of them will be able to absorb some of them, but the retailer can't. The manufacturer can. So the margins at a retail store is much, much smaller than the margins at a manufacturing plant. So a lot of them can be absorbed from the manufacturer, and I believe they will absorb some of them. But you don't expect a retailer, when they're working off 2, 3, or at the top 6% margins, to be able to absorb that. It should be consumed at the manufacturing level, though, which is why we're trying to bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. And that's what President Trump is doing.
A years-long endeavor and something that is not done.
Why do these people act like the American people don't have the chutzpah to handle this, to tighten the belt loops? We've already been dealing with massive amounts of inflation as it is. And I've been saying this. I know you guys feel the exact same way that I feel. You'd be willing to pay a little more to support Americans, American-made goods, and American workers. I know you would, because I know that I would. And for the life of me, I don't understand why people like Kaitlan Collins and others, they don't understand that. And maybe they feel the same way, but they get paid to be on the opposite end of that conversation. But there you have it. Kaitlan Collins, just like Abby Phillips, is busy asking gotcha questions that they barely understand themselves. President Trump has spent his first 100 days doing what he promised, putting America and Americans first. Just look at the scoreboard. We've seen men removed from women's sports, restoring fairness to female athletes who've been sidelined in their own arenas. DEI bureaucracies, those divisive, race-obsessed parasites, are being dismantled across our military and our government. We've reopened the tap on American energy, expanding oil and gas production, driving prices down and freeing us from reliance on foreign deposits, on trade. Trump is done playing nice with these people. He's already taken major steps to curb the unfair practices that gutted our middle class for decades. We're seeing trillions, and I said trillions of dollars in private sector investment flooding back into the United States of America, manufacturing thanks to pro-growth policies. Criminal illegal aliens, they're getting up out of here. And finally, we've got a president who defends religious liberty, calls out anti-Christian bigotry, and isn't afraid to stand up against the raging anti-Semitism festering on our college campuses. You won't hear any of this on CNN or MSNBC. And why? Because to them, it's not about the truth. It's about control. It's about pushing their narrative. It's about spreading their propaganda that they've been given by their DNC overlords. That's why they gave Trump zero positive coverage in his first 100 days. Zero. A perfect score in propaganda. Zero. Think about that, man. Y'all not gonna sit here and tell me that there was nothing that you saw that's been accomplished over the first 100 days that was positive and worth giving some positive, kudos to support. But we, and when I say we, I mean us, we see right through it. We voted for the results and we're getting them. And as it says in Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness. Stay awake, stay strong, and stay grounded in the truth. We're just getting started, man. We are just getting started. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider supporting this channel financially. Join the ARP family, or you can buy your man a coffee. That link is in the description box below. I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. I appreciate everybody that supports me. Come join us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern for ARP in the morning, one of the livest live streams in all of YouTube. Come check us out. Come join us. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp.